didn't even realize until a few years ago that the idea of neutrality toward God was not neutrality, because of my being brought up in Western civilization. I thought it was perfectly intellectually, philosophically, and theologically appropriate to, you can affirm God, you can deny God, and you can be neutral toward God. Now, as a generalization, that's fine, but in actuality, neutrality toward God does not exist. It's an indirect, implicit denial of God, hiding behind openness that you might accept God existing. So when we take a biblical view on these things, it exposes the fraudulent thinking of the unbelieving world, and we Christians have been too influenced. We keep on acquiescing to their demands. Okay, why should we as Christians, who acknowledge God's existence, we acknowledge God has revealed Himself, that God is the ground of all being, why should we humor unbelievers that there are parameters of existence that provide for all sorts of facts that exist without God? Why would we tolerate that? Look, we're not neutral, and neither are they. Daniel, let me explain it to you this way. If we try to reason toward God, and we don't start metaphysically that God is a necessary precondition, and we know this because He's revealed Himself, and you have premise 1, premise 2, and then the conclusion, therefore God, that's incoherent. Because how can you establish either premise in an argument by which you conclude in God? What would be more absolute than God Himself in the either premise? How could you establish any premise without God's existence? Now that's a serious question. See, this is what unbelievers want us to do. They